El 1 de abril del 2025, los ojos de Estados Unidos se posaron en Wisconsin, donde se llevó a cabo una elección crucial para la Corte Suprema Estatal. Este evento decidiría el equilibrio ideológico del tribunal en temas como derecho al aborto, los derechos laborales y las reglas electorales. Pero ¿quién estaba en el centro de esta tormenta? Nada más y nada menos que Elon Musk, el magnate de Tesla, y que en aquel momento estaba como un asesor de Donald Trump.
They're eating the dogs. Sleepy, crooked Joe Biden.
I don't know what he said.
El domingo antes de las elecciones, Musk entregó cheques de $1 millón a 2 votantes de Wisconsin, un movimiento que según él buscaba atraer la atención de los medios hacia la contienda. En sus propias palabras, citadas por fuentes de noticias, cuando hago estas cosas, la prensa tradicional pierde la cabeza y lo publica en todos los canales. Y vaya que lo logró. Sin embargo, este acto generó críticas feroces. Un manifestante en Green Bay exclamó: "Es injusto que Elon Musk meta sus narices en nuestros asuntos aquí en Wisconsin. Debería mantenerse al margen del sistema judicial". Musk, a través de su Super PAC, America PAC, gastó más de $16 millones apoyando al candidato conservador Brad Schimmel, quien competía contra la liberal Susan Crawford. En total se invirtieron $81 millones en esta carrera, convirtiéndola en la elección judicial estatal más cara de la historia de Estados Unidos. Pero, ¿fue esto un intento legítimo de influir en la democracia o, como algunos críticos afirmaron, un esfuerzo por comprar votos? El fiscal de Filadelfia acusó a Elon Musk de operar una lotería ilegal para influir en los votantes, lo que lo llevó a enfrentar una audiencia judicial de emergencia el lunes 25 de agosto.
Advisor and Tesla CEO Elon Musk gave away million-dollar checks to 2 Wisconsin voters Sunday.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, Gothic MAGA.
Ahead of a vote that could flip control of the state's Supreme Court. Musk used similar stunts during the 2024 presidential election to support Trump.
Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
On Sunday, he said it was meant to draw media attention to the race, which currently has liberal Susan Crawford edging ahead of conservative judge Brad Schimmel for an open seat.
Somewhat inevitably, when I do these things, it causes the legacy media to kind of lose their minds. And then they'll run it on every news channel. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen.
The April 1st election will decide where the state's top court sits on abortion rights, labor rights, and possibly election rules.
Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice.
As of last week, a total of $81 million has been spent on the race.
Smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
More than a fifth of that amount was spent by groups affiliated with Musk to support Schimmel, the conservative judge. Protesters lined the streets outside where Musk spoke in Green Bay Sunday.
I think that's just wrong that he's sticking his nose in our business here in Wisconsin. You know, he's working for Washington now. He should be out of our hair and out of the judicial system.
They cheat on elections. That's their single greatest trait. They cheat like hell. And let me tell you, they tried to cheat on this election, but we made it too big to
Philadelphia this morning to address a bid by the city's top prosecutor to stop Musk's $1 million voter sweepstakes. The lawsuit accuses Musk and his American PAC of operating an illegal lottery and trying to influence voters in the presidential election. Attorneys for the Philadelphia Attorney General asked the judge to order enhanced security for the hearing after the DA was targeted by some anti-Semitic attacks on social media. One account on X posted the DA's home address and wrote that he loves visitors. Mask up and leave all cell phones at home.
Meantime, former FTX executive Nishad Singh was sentenced to time served in 3 years of supervised release. He's the fourth now ex-employee of the collapsed crypto exchange to be punished. Singh faced a maximum sentence of 75 years but received no jail time. This after the judge noted that his cooperation with the government was, quote, remarkable. The judge said he was entirely persuaded that Singh's involvement with the fraud was more limited than that of Sam Bankman-Fried or Caroline Ellison. Ellison recently received a 2-year prison sentence. One prosecutor noted that the FTX campaign finance scheme was totally unknown by authorities until Singh brought it to their attention.
El fiscal de Filadelfia acusó a Elon Musk de operar una lotería ilegal para influir en los votantes, lo que lo llevó a enfrentar una audiencia judicial de emergencia el lunes 25 de agosto. ¿Qué opinan ustedes de estas tácticas? Parece que Elon Musk quiso convertir la elección en un reality show, pero olvidó que no todos los premios son bien recibidos. Pasemos ahora a un tema aún más controvertido. Los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein, estos documentos recopilados por autoridades federales, incluyen registros de vuelos, listas de contactos y registros judiciales relacionados con el fallecido financiero y delincuente sexual convicto. Y aunque en enero del año pasado y febrero de este año se desclasificaron algunos documentos, muchos permanecen sellados o fuertemente censurados, lo que ha desatado una ola de especulaciones. Elon Musk avivó el fuego el 5 de junio cuando afirmó en su plataforma X, sin pruebas, que Donald Trump está en los archivos de Epstein. Esa es la verdadera razón por la que no se han hecho públicos, afirmó. Estas palabras desataron una tormenta política. El congresista demócrata de California, Robert García, expresó su indignación. Es alarmante que los archivos de Epstein no se hayan desclasificado porque podrían implicar al presidente Trump. Por su parte, Trump desestimó las acusaciones como noticias viejas y afirmó en una entrevista con NBC el 7 de junio: no he tenido contacto con Epstein en 18 años, no era su fan. Sin embargo, reportes confirman que Trump voló en el jet privado de Epstein al menos 7 veces entre 1993 y 1997, y su nombre aparece en el famoso libro negro de contactos de Epstein. Mientras tanto, la congresista García y otros demócratas, junto con algunos republicanos como Thomas Massie y Lauren Boebert, han exigido la publicación completa de los archivos. El congresista Ro Khanna, en una entrevista reciente, señaló: recibimos menos del 1% de los documentos. El FBI dice que hay 300 gigabytes, pero solo nos dieron 1 gigabyte. Esto es inaceptable, están ocultando algo. La pregunta sigue en el aire. En medio de estas disputas políticas, no podemos olvidar a las verdaderas víctimas, las personas afectadas por los crímenes de Jeffrey Epstein. El congresista Ro Khanna, en referencia a una entrevista con Ghislaine Maxwell, cómplice de Epstein, expresó su indignación. Me ofendió profundamente cuando Maxwell dijo que nunca vio a ningún hombre hacer algo inapropiado con mujeres de cualquier edad. Es un insulto a las víctimas. Khanna destacó que el 3 de septiembre de este año, 10 víctimas compartirán sus historias públicamente buscando justicia y cierre. Estas declaraciones contrastan con la narrativa de Maxwell, quien afirmó que Trump fue un caballero perfecto y que nunca presenció actos no consensuados. Sin embargo, las víctimas y sus abogados insisten en que estas afirmaciones son una afrenta a su dolor.
We're trying to get justice for the victims and transparency for America.
The president should say, I ran on this, the attorney general promised this, we're going to do a clean, full release.
That was California Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna and Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie after Speaker Mike Johnson sent Congress into recess last month. Remember that? Instead of holding a vote to compel the Department of Justice to publicly release files relating to now deceased convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Well, today, as the House Oversight Committee got its first batch of Epstein documents, members in both parties are still looking for more answers. And joining me now is Congressman Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, member of the House Oversight Committee. All right, you got the transcript of the Maxwell interview and the recording and some documents, so fully transparent and we're done, right? Everything all good?
Well, Donald Trump is out there saying, release the Epstein files. And then he's calling himself the chief law enforcement officer, but he's not releasing the Epstein files. We got less than 1%, you know? I mean, we got less than 1% of the documents. The FBI said there are 300 gigabytes of these documents. We got 1 gigabyte, about 33,000 pages. To put that in perspective, usually in a major investigation, you get about 1 million pages, and most of these pages are already public documents. So they're stonewalling. What we really need to do when we come back is have a vote on Massey and my bill to force the release. The Speaker, as you mentioned, shut down Congress to avoid that vote, but he's not going to keep shutting down Congress. We just need to vote on that.
That point, it's an important point, right? Because we're long past the AG is independent, the Department of Justice. Trump does everything flows from him. He says it. This morning he kind of hedged a little bit in his sort of classic self-contradictory way. But here's what he said about the documents and how he told his attorney general to, quote, give them everything. Take a listen.
I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them, because it's a Democrat hoax.
It's a Democrat hoax. Are you confident that everything will come over, or do you think they're just blowing smoke?
Well, so far they've been blowing smoke. We got less than 1% of the documents. And, this is not just Democrats. This is Massey. This is Boebert. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Tim Burchett. It's like the all-star lineup of the MAGA movement that's demanding this. Even Kevin Comer, the oversight chair, is demanding this. So the reality is that Trump is saying one thing because he knows that his base wants to hear that. But obviously he hasn't told Pam Bondi to do that because they haven't released the documents, and they're just still hoping this thing just goes away. It's not going to go away.
I want to play you a little clip of this Ghislaine Maxwell interview. Again, I think we've been pretty focused on what one's assessment of its credibility should be. She says that she never saw Trump do anything untoward, that he was a perfect gentleman, also that he was always kind to her and she admires him and what he's been able to accomplish, that she never saw Jeffrey Epstein engage in any non-consensual anything, that the massages weren't sexual. Here she says she kind of has exculpatory account for everyone. Take a listen to this one sentence she says.
I never, ever saw any man doing something inappropriate with a woman of any age.
To remind everyone, that's Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice. I never, ever saw any man doing something inappropriate with a woman of any age. Do you find that credible?
I'm usually pretty even-keeled, but I was so offended and outraged when I heard her say that. And the reason is I've been in touch with the victims' lawyers. 10 of them are going to actually be sharing their stories on September 3rd. I mean, it is so offensive, so insulting to the hundreds of victims who our country has sidelined for years. They haven't been centered. And for Maxwell to get up there and say that nothing was done to them, I mean, she's going to be shocked when she hears the stories on September 3rd. But I'm so angered for the victims whose stories and testimony is being dismissed.
We also do know, I mean, part of the thing about these files, right? We do know, at least from reporting, that the department that flagged mentions of him and that he was told in May his name is among many in the Epstein files. I mean, one of the tests, it seems to me, is like whether we see anything in these files we haven't seen before that mentions Donald Trump, frankly.
Absolutely. And we also have a subpoena to the Epstein estate to get the birthday book. But you notice how Trump, he says, well, I want to release everything, but I'm really concerned because some of my friends and some of the people I know may be mentioned in these files. Yeah. Really? That's your concern? The embarrassment of your buddies as opposed to justice and closure for the victims? I mean, it is just absurd at this point. And this is the one issue where his base is pushing back. I mean, they haven't pushed back on deporting people without due process. They haven't pushed back on taking away cancer research. They haven't pushed back on cutting Medicaid. But here they're pushing back.
La pregunta que resuena es, ¿por qué sigue habiendo tanta opacidad en torno a estos archivos? Como dijo Khanna, no se trata de proteger a los amigos de Trump, sino de dar justicia y transparencia a las víctimas. Y hablando de transparencia, ¿no creen que es hora de que todos los documentos vean la luz? Si están de acuerdo, den like a este video y compártanlo para que más personas se enteren. Por si fuera poco, el entorno de Donald Trump está lleno de otras controversias. Alex Jones, el conocido presentador, expresó preocupaciones sobre la salud del presidente el pasado mes. Trump tiene una genética excelente, pero si no se cuida, predigo que sufrirá un colapso en los próximos 12 meses. Jones señaló específicamente los tobillos hinchados de Donald Trump como una señal preocupante para su salud cardiovascular. Y hablando de tobillos, ¿alguien debería hacer un TikTok con eso? ¿En serio? ¿Qué opinan de estas especulaciones sobre la salud de un presidente?
Aforementioned Alex Jones has some concerns about his president that I'd like to share with you.
Trump has got great genetics. He's tough. And if he takes care of himself, he can make it through these years and then after. But if he doesn't, he's going to have, I predict Trump is going to have some type of collapse within the next 12 months at the current trajectory.
So he's going to, a collapse is coming in the next 12 months for Trump.
Did you watch this whole segment, by the way?
I've got more. More is to come. First, I want to know if you have any thoughts about the collapse coming in the next 12 months.
It sounds exciting. First, I'm thrilled to hear it. Alex Jones was ahead of the curve probably on all things Biden's health. Unfortunately, we should probably admit that.
That's a good point.
We should probably admit that.
The ankles from Alaska, they're straight on shot. They are big. They are swollen. I mean, they are like really big. I mean, they look like my neck's 19 and a half inches.
That's a big neck.
Like that. His ankles look like they're about 15 inches around. That's not a good sign for the heart and the rest of the body, because the rest of him, he's lost weight. He's not that fat. So Trump really needs to exercise and take care of himself. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, someone make a TikTok audio out of that. That is good. Please. The cankles are...
Además, críticos como el ex asesor John Bolton han acusado a Donald Trump de usar su administración para buscar venganza y represalias contra sus detractores, citando acciones como la revocación de clearance de seguridad y órdenes de búsqueda controvertidas. Esas acusaciones refuerzan la percepción de un gobierno envuelto en conflictos personales y políticos.
Wondering what answers you have about what exactly is going on. Do we know how this warrant was approved? Just any details that you've heard at this point.
No, it's very troubling to my constituents, regardless of what their politics are. It seems to fulfill John Bolton's prediction that Donald Trump's administration would be consumed with revenge and retaliation against his critics. Bolton, of course, wrote a book in which he criticized Donald Trump for catering to the Chinese and trying to get the Chinese involved in our presidential election on his behalf. Over the last week, he's been criticizing Trump's appeasement of Vladimir Putin, saying that Putin just wants to incorporate Ukraine into the greater Russian empire. And so it's very hard not to see this lined up with a lot of other actions undertaken against John Bolton, including revoking his security detail on the first day of the administration, revoking his security clearance, putting him on Kash Patel's enemies list, and so on. So, you know, the magistrate certainly must have passed upon this search warrant. That's true, but of course, they're only at that point getting the government's side of the story. And we know that Donald Trump was livid and denounced the search warrant that was executed at Mar-a-Lago. And that was a case where he had all of these classified documents and had repeatedly refused to return them after multiple appeals by the government. It doesn't sound like anything like that has gone on here.
And that's what we're kind of waiting to find out, is hopefully we learn more throughout the afternoon here. But, you know, President Trump said earlier he wasn't briefed beforehand on this. Take a listen.
I tell the group, I don't want to know about it. Just, you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer. But I feel that it's better this way.
You got to do what you got to do. What do you make of Trump calling himself the chief law enforcement officer?
Well, it's dubious, and it's obviously a radical departure from our tradition of having independent law enforcement under the Justice Department and not having political coordination between the White House and DOJ. And this smells like that. And of course, we know that this Department of Justice views itself as completely subordinate to the president. I mean, the first thing that they did when they got in was they sacked dozens of January 6th prosecutors simply because they did their jobs. And Donald Trump wants to, send January 6th down some kind of Orwellian memory hole. So anybody who had anything to do with it, they're firing. And we're talking about experienced, gifted federal criminal prosecutors who lost their jobs for no reason other than having worked on that case. And so we've seen various kinds of purges like that taking place at the DOJ, at the FBI. And, John Bolton himself predicted that this administration would be about nothing other than exacting retribution against the president's critics.
I mean, so with that in mind, how concerned are you that the FBI's resources are being diverted from things like fighting terrorism, drug trafficking, federal crime, and what do Democrats do about it?
Well, on the House Judiciary Committee, we intend to be exercising as much oversight as possible to make sure that the actual criminal law enforcement agenda of the FBI is not completely neglected as they decide to mobilize the resources of the federal government to go after their perceived political enemies. But it's a very serious problem. A number of units within the FBI and the Department of Justice were dismantled early on, including ones that were set up to protect us against malign foreign interference in American elections, to protect us against malign foreign surveillance and sabotage of different American government functions, and they were just shut down. They also said, of course, that they were
Y bueno, hemos recorrido un camino lleno de intrigas, desde las maniobras electorales de Musk en Wisconsin hasta las acusaciones sobre los archivos de Epstein y las preocupaciones por la salud de Donald Trump. Pero la pregunta más importante queda para ustedes. ¿Creen que la transparencia total en los archivos de Epstein es posible o hay fuerzas políticas que seguirán obstruyendo la verdad? Déjenos sus opiniones en los comentarios, suscríbanse al canal para más contenido como este, den like y compartan este video. Juntos sigamos destapando la verdad. Y bueno, hasta la próxima. Chao, chao.